Well, it's not often you get to say you're having a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on your show, but today I can say that Doug Cosmo Clifford, drummer and founding member of Creedence Clearwater Revival, one of the biggest bands in the world. He's back. He's back on the show second time, and the band has a new documentary slash live show on Netflix. It's out now. It's called Travelin Band, Creedence Clearwater live at Royal Albert Hall. And we're going to talk about that. Plus, he has a new solo record with Bobby Whitlock from Derek and the Dominoes. That's the guy that literally sang Layla, one of the biggest hits ever. And Doug's going to also tell me the true meaning behind one of Creedence Clearwater's biggest hits, Who Will Stop the Rain. All this and more coming right up. Welcome back to the show, Doug. How's it going?
Great, Chuck. How are you?
Great. Yeah, it's exciting. So you just keep on pumping out all the music. There's all this music from the vaults, and the last one was Clifford Wright that we talked about. That was a fun thing. That was like an 80s kind of sounding. This is more like, I would say, like, would you say bluesy, soulful? How would you describe it?
I would say that both of those descriptions are correct.
Yeah. So it's called, now it's just, this is technically under your name, Doug Clifford. California Gold is the name of the album, but it features Bobby Whitlock, who was the co-founder of Derek and the Dominoes and singer of that. That's the guy that sang Layla.
That's right.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So how did you two hook up?
Well, I was looking for a band to go forward with post Creedence. This was in 78. And I was at Donald Duck Dunn's house, the bass player extravagance, wrapped up in gold and silver, one of the best bass players that ever on the planet. So anyway, we were chatting, and he says, I know somebody. He says, how about Bobby Whitlock? And I said, Bobby Whitlock, that rings a bell. And then he told me, the story. And I said, well, why don't you call him up and ask him if he would be interested in joining me in a band? And so he did, and Bobby was excited about that, and I was excited that he was excited, and so he drove up to my house in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and we chatted and got to know each other a little bit. He had his pregnant wife with him and their little 3-year-old daughter. And so we just started right off the bat, started writing. Because we co-wrote all the music to this, just like the Clifford Wright was the same situation. Steve Wright and I were the writers there, and so on and so forth. So anyway, I said, we've got some nice songs here, but if we don't record them, we're going to forget them. Oh yeah, you might think you have the greatest song in the world, especially when you go to sleep. And you go, I'm a little too tired to get up, so I'll remember it in the morning. You don't remember it in the morning because you were asleep. So we did some recording in different studios around the Bay Area as we would gather the material, and that's what California Gold is.
Okay, yeah. So then, explain to me how you got together with Donald Dunn. Did you already know him? Because he's played on tons of amazing records, and he's a famous studio musician.
Yeah, he's a good friend, and I'd known him for a long time, and so we were close. I actually produced 2 or 3 albums with Duck as my bass player, and back in the day. And so, but anyway, the problem that we had is it was really a good bunch of music that we were making, but Duck got the call from John Belushi. Belushi wanted him to be a blues brother. And Duck said, guys, I got to take this. This is a once in a lifetime thing. And we said, oh, God, if you didn't take it, we'd kick you in the ass. And
yeah, right.
Of course you have to take it. So that kind of put a big hole in our project. And And then some of the other guys said, well, I've just been offered this, so that is just finish it off. So I said, into the vault you go, boom, and join your brothers in the vault. And I have a lot still in the vault that'll eventually come out. But right now, first things first, I've got to concentrate on California Gold and get airplay. That's what the game is. If you're an artist, you need to have people hear your work and let them be the judge of whether they think it's good or not. And so far, so good. Everybody I've played it for has not only taken it and listened to it, but listened to it several times. So I think I have a winner here.
Yeah, the songs are catchy. They get in your head. It's funny because I was listening to some of it, and then like I went and took a shower, and then I come back and I'm like, wait, this song's like, it's still with me. Like it's in my head. I'm singing along to it. The choruses are very catchy, really good stuff.
Oh, thank you. You have a reputation, and mine is that I'm a drummer, and we were number one in the world in 69 and 70, knocking the Beatles off. And by the way, we have a documentary of the show at Royal Albert Hall and in London. That's out now, and it's really good. It's got some of the funny stuff that we did when we were in Europe, like bicycles, riding bicycles in hotel rooms and hallways and down into the dining rooms, and just stuff that 25-year-old rock musicians would do. Nothing. We didn't break any windows or glass or anything like that. We just there's some bikes. No one will miss them. We'll return them where we found them when we're done with them, and just fun stuff like that. So you might want to check that out.
Yeah, I watched that last night. It's really good, and I think, like you said, it's all positive. It's nothing negative, because that is when there was some turmoil in the band, but they didn't show any of that. They just showed the fun stuff.
They did, and that was the way it should have been done. And hats off to the label for the job they did. They got some pretty good guys to engineer the finished product. Again, using some of the Beatles people. And so it was, I'm excited that we have that. And if this record, California Gold, gets charted, then I'll be competing against myself with the other album. It's kind of funny. I told him I was going to do it because, I waited 50 some odd years to get the Royal Albert Hall thing done, and they would always wait till it was too late for Christmas. And I said, you can't miss Christmas. You guys, you're in the record business. It's amazing you can stay in it with, if you miss that one, you've missed 40% of your sales, at least. So I decided, I've got this thing ready to go. I don't know if they're going to be able to get the thing out before Christmas, but they did. They did. I beat them by a week. Not by a week, and I said, this is a kind of a weird situation. I'm putting a record out against you, and I'm on both records.
So is there an actual record for it too? Because I watched it on Netflix, but you can actually buy is there an audio version, like a vinyl?
Yeah, there is. There's everything, including audio cassette, video cassette, Blu-ray.
Wow.
On and on and on. There are many options for the documentary. And
how did you guys get Jeff Bridges to do the narration? I know is he a fan, because there's all those references in Big Lebowski about CCR.
He's a huge fan, and I'm a huge fan of his. I haven't met him.
Right? Yeah.
I haven't met him yet. They never tell us what they're going to do. none of us were asked to come in and help them or, mix it, do whatever. They didn't ask John, they didn't ask Stu, they didn't ask me. And of course, they can't ask Tom. So they just do things their way, but they have they bought out Fantasy, the original label. Kraft is the label, and they're really good. And they also spend money on advertising. Fantasy never spent a penny on that, and this, cheapo. And so these guys are the real deal. They come up with good little projects, and we want to have them keep doing the same thing.
Is there more CCR stuff that could be released, concerts or behind the scenes footage or stuff like that?
There is not, and we did that on purpose. We left nothing in the other vault, in her vault. We left them nothing. The only thing that there was there was a film being made for television. And that's where the footage from Oakland Coliseum came from. But Tom left the band, so that just, we throw it out. Can't put it out as when we were a quartet, and now we're a trio. So that would be the only thing that was left. And John, when he was negotiating his exit from Fantasy, said you can only put out one previously unreleased record, and that's in case something showed up and whatever. Well, what showed up was the film they were making for TV, and they put it out as Royal Albert Hall, and it wasn't.
This new one is the Royal Albert Hall thing.
The new one is it's the real deal. You see the entire show and how we did it, and a lot of action. And we're also playing in the Beatles house, and we're there kind of like athletes, we're there to show them that, we belong on the same stage that they do. And, they had all the personalities and multiple singers and writers, and we had none of that, but we had a pretty good product, the band product, for lack of a better word. We made good records, and real rock and roll records, double-sided hits, and things that were right in the Beatles' wheelhouse. So I'm an athlete, and if you saw the thing, you realize what I'm doing to those drums is very athletic.
Yeah. Well, your football background too. I mean, that was like a big part of, you coming up as a drummer, a physical part.
Exactly. And we were a very physical band. Like I say, when you see what we did in Royal Albert Hall, we did that wherever we played. That's who we were. And I was, I liked the Beatles, and I was a fan of the Beatles, and I loved them. And but when it's competition, I'm out there to take home the trophy.
Absolutely. Well, you said so. There's nothing else left of the CCR vault. Now, what about creating some new stuff in terms of like a biopic? Because that's kind of a big thing right now. They made the Queen movie. They made one for Elvis. Why not one for CCR? Like, how would you feel about that?
Well, I'm not really sure. I'm sure that we didn't do that with, with the thing that we have out now. I don't know what the difference would be. I mean, it's kind of
well, like a fictional movie, like where you have actors that play and tell the whole story. You haven't seen like the Queen movie, and there's a new Elvis one. There was one for Motley Crue, The Dirt. I mean, they're really popular. It's becoming a really popular thing where they're making these movies about all these big bands.
Well, I'll have to run that by the label. See what they think. It's not something that we would do as a band, because we don't.
Sure. No, they would just tell your story. They might interview you for the story or something, but
Yeah. I'll see if they might be interested in that. The problem with it is that if they did something like that, then I would have to insist that they have our input in it, because it's a different animal. It's not something that is, we've already done, and they have the rights to. Something totally different, and I'd want to have something to do with it, but I'm so busy right now, promoting California Gold, and right now I also have started my own record company. So
yeah. So back to the California Gold, I was going to ask you about this. So the guitar player, because obviously, Donald Dunn, I looked him up and I was like, oh, this guy is massively famous, Booker T and the MGs. And then Bobby Whitlock, I was like, oh, that's the guy that sang Layla. But the guitar players, I'm not super familiar with them. Did they do a lot of other work?
One of them did. I'm not even sure about the other one. One was Michael
O'Neill.
I didn't really even know him.
Okay.
I think Bobby knew him, and he played on the first sessions before Duck left, and then David Vega played, took his place. David Vega was with the Graham Central Station, the guitar for them. He was a very good player, blues oriented, and so we had some pretty good guys in that band. We practiced a lot and got pretty good, and then, as I say, things started to drop off, and it was not to be. I don't know what would have happened if everybody would have stayed, but I think we would have had quite a few hits coming out of that band.
Yeah, you don't think? I mean, if Bobby still in? Because if he was still in, that was you and him were the core of the band, right? You couldn't just replace the other members.
Well, yeah, he was. His wife was didn't like the Bay Area, and so that sort of happy life, happy wife, and it was starting to go away, the enthusiasm. Guys were in places that they didn't want to be or did want to be, and so into the vault you go.
Does that, when you have projects like that, I mean, it's good music, and it just, for whatever reason, problems with geographical and all these things that happen, it doesn't happen. Does that make you appreciate what you had with CCR more and go, even and then that CCR didn't last forever, but it makes you kind of appreciate that short window where you guys were so big. It's very rare, right? I mean, just because there's so many things have to fall in place for things to be successful, for you to be successful in the music business.
Well, at least for us, being straight and sober, 100% of the time when we were doing business, what you did at home on your own time was up to you. But we weren't into drugs anyway. We smoked weed. Now you can go down and buy it at a dispensary. So, and not that much. I mean, it was something to relax by, and John didn't do any of it. He tried the weed and got paranoid. So that was the end of that. But that was something that we Stu and I and Tom would enjoy, at a proper time and place. So if we were wacky, we wouldn't have been able to do all those albums that we did, do the tours behind those albums. If you were in a band and somebody came up and said, if we're ever off the charts, we'll be forgotten. That was John's reasoning behind it all. And we were never off the charts until we broke up. So, and you should never put a single out that isn't on an album already. We did the opposite. We put singles out in between albums because the albums weren't ready. Put a single out from the forthcoming album, so we would be able to be on the charts. It's just kind of a funny thing, when John said that, if we're off the charts, we'll be forgotten. I said, no, everybody is off the charts at some time. He says, well, it won't be us. So, okay. Just so I know what we're doing. And I'm on board to, I love what we're doing. Nothing like learning songs that are unique in terms of what was happening musically with the other guys across the bay in San Francisco. The psychedelic rock, that was certainly not us. And they called us the Boy Scouts of rock and roll because we weren't doing drugs, and said we were, sellouts. We sold out to AM radio, and it's kind of funny because Spencer Dryden was the drummer for the Airplane, and there was a 20-year get together at the Fillmore West when Bill Graham was still alive, and see what guys are doing, and just go into the old place and have a little party. And we were doing that, and talking to Spencer, and he said, we called you guys all those names and said, you're copping out, putting out singles on AM radio. He says, we tried and tried and tried to get a single out. We could never do it. You guys were putting out double-sided hits. And so it really wasn't that you, Gesundheit,
Thank you.
That you guys were selling out. It's that you guys were successful and putting out hit records, and we couldn't get close to it. So what do? We play psychedelic music and tell everybody how cool we are.
That's funny. Yeah, well, because it's probably a lot harder to write those melodic, catchy songs. Whereas like the psychedelic, I feel like you just whatever you feel, and then you make a song. And some of those were really good too, but writing a hit single is not easy. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of musicians. It's not something you can just do.
Well, John Fogerty can do it, that's for sure. And we were there when we were looking for songs in between. We jammed every day, and there were things in those jams that we all had ownership on, and didn't get the credit for it. But the music speaks for itself. So we had a good work ethic, and stuck to the trail.
What do you think? I know John was the main songwriter, but what did you guys bring to the band in terms of, do you think you somehow motivated John or something? Because it seems like when the band broke up, it's not like John went into this prolific solo career. I mean, he had some good songs too, but it wasn't the same. There was something special about the band CCR, in my opinion.
You're absolutely correct, and I'll tell you what, I probably had the most opportunity to put forth ideas, because everybody else was a guitar player, and that's John's instrument, so he knew exactly what he wanted from the guitar players, but he didn't. I'm the only drummer in the house, and I knew exactly what I was doing, and made songs better. Susie Q was a rockabilly song. I turned it into a quarter note dance groove. And then Born in the Bayou, which is my favorite Creedence song, same thing. It was a quarter note beat. I had a different bass drum pattern, but it worked on the accents on the 2 and 4 a lot. The cymbal crashes. Very few times did I hit it on the 1 and 3. In Bayou, I used a lot of hitting the drum and the cymbal at the same time. It's a power thing, and it's kind of comes from the rhythm and blues, and so that was mine. A lot of times, John would tell me to play a certain thing, and I would take it home and, with my little 4-track machine and my little Sony cassette player. I'd put it on the floor of the factory when we would be rehearsing or jamming, and it wasn't a perfect recording of what that wasn't the point. It gathered information of what we were doing, and I would make notes on the songs that I thought needed help or didn't have anything at that point yet.
So could you'd make suggestions sometimes on like speeding the song up or slowing it down and that kind of thing?
Not so much that as the patterns that I was playing with my feet, the bass drum, and then just making sure that backbeat was where it should be. And Al Jackson Jr., who was my idol and mentor, told me that it's okay to move the beat, move the tempo of the beat. Here's the quarter notes, and that's the middle of that note. But because you're a human, he said, what are your goals? I said, I want to be a metronome. He says, why would you want to be a metronome? I said, well, John says that from time to time, so I'm just trying to get it where he wants it. He never ever said I did it. I never got any pats on the back from John. It's just that's not how he did it. So, okay, if that's the way it is, then I'm going to come up with ideas and that make sense to me. Perfect example. Who Will Stop the Rain?
I love that song.
Well, next time you listen to it, listen to what the drums are doing. All of that was, John hated it. And in the end, I won out. I said, it's just an ordinary song. It's not something that we would do, kind of a ballad, but not. So I came up with a sort. It's not a triplet like a that, but it's kind of triplet based. I got it from that. Got it from listening to some R&B stuff, and then there's a fill after that break that's part of the fill. So listen to what's happening, especially going into the chorus and during the chorus. All of that was out, and John said, "Don't play it," and I said, "I'm playing it." Every once in a while, you got to stand up,
Yeah. Is that song? Now, I heard that song was about how the band was kind of achieving all the success, but there was all this inner turmoil at the same time.
Well, what John was saying in the interviews was that it was the reign of Richard Nixon. It's not rain as in water coming from the sky. It was a reign of a pretty crappy leader, and then he for years didn't like Woodstock. We weren't in the movie. We weren't in the records that followed it. He threatened to sue the label, which happened to be his label. He was Warner Brothers, and then he somehow had a change of heart, and now he has a Volkswagen painted up and he says that after he came back from Woodstock, he wrote "Who Will Stop the Rain." So that ain't what he was saying originally. So
Interesting. Yeah. So many hit songs. So many memories, some good, some bad, but I mean, it's such a legacy that the band has left behind.
well, you brought this up. We had 10, at least 10 uh, hits, top 10 singles in a very short period of time. We put out
Yeah.
3 albums in 1969, and then when John went out solo in 40 years, if more than that now, as a solo artist, he's had 2 top 10 singles, and we did it in like a 3-year period, and he's had all those years after he got rid of the guys that were holding him back.
Is that what he said? He said you guys were holding him back?
Well, that's it was implied.
Yeah. It's tough, but I mean, yeah, the music will stay there forever. So you have that, and then now you've created all this new stuff, and the California Gold record. It's out now. It's on Spotify. It's on. Can people get a physical copy of that one as well?
Yeah, you can. We don't have the CDs yet, but they're going to be made. But you can pre-order one, so as soon as they're ready, you'll have it. I like CDs myself, but right now the only way you can get it is and play it immediately is download it.
Okay. Yeah, it's great stuff. Like I said, bluesy, soulful. If people like that kind of music. So you said you are trying to get airplay. Is it playing on the blues stations, or where are you trying to get it played?
Well, anywhere that'll play it. There are oldies. I don't like that. It makes me sound old. Well, what am I saying? But oldies stations, hard rock stations. There are formats that will fit the bill for this record, and I'm just trying to get people that are involved with the stations I mentioned and the stations that would be willing to put it on their playlist. If you get on a playlist and you get played and people hear it, that's the only way that people can make a judgment on the record, and we want to buy it or want to stream it or whatever, and have it around. It's a very I think it's Bobby's best vocals, and I have to as a producer, you want the best from your guys. Well, I had the best guys, but Bobby's voice wasn't as strong as I wanted it to be. And so I made him quit smoking cigarettes.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I made him quit smoking cigarettes. And 2 weeks after, you could notice the difference. And he liked that. It made it easier for him to quit. And then after that, I got him to run. I would run every day and then work out with light weights. I said, you don't have to use the weights if you don't want to, but you have to use the legs because that's connected to your heart and connected to your wind, and it's going to make you a better singer. And man, oh man, and when you're a singer and you made this big change in that affects your instrument, which is your vocal cords. It's a get off, man, and he was getting off.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to go back and listen now to Derek and the Dominoes and compare how his voice sounds. Because yeah, when I was kind of blown away by the vocals, it was the range is very. It's just like, I mean, I can't even imitate it because I'm a terrible singer, but I was blown away how good the vocals sound.
He really did a good job on this record. No question about it. Everybody did really. You know, when your lead singer's killing it, man, you get mileage that way.
That sure helps. So what's next? Is there more projects in the vault that will be released later?
There are, but I'm in no rush to get them out. We're just starting to get the California Gold out, and we want to get it in places where it's easily accessible. And as you say, some hard copies. Get the CDs out, and it'll also be in vinyl. You know, vinyl has made a comeback. It's kind of interesting. I can't stand vinyl because I ruined a lot of records. You know, putting the needle down on a record because there were in that portion of the record was something I wanted to hear. More than likely, I was borrowing it from whomever. You know, professionals don't steal; they borrow. And it's true, you know. It's a free art as long as you're not stealing a song note for note. But you know, maybe you know, drum fills. I used to listen to the R&B stations when I was 13, 14. Listen to the fills that the drummers were using.
Did any of the big Creedence hits have stolen drum fills?
Not really.
Oh.
Less is best was our motto, but the one song where I really just loaded it up was "Who Will Stop the Rain," and it really makes that song alive. It really makes a big difference. You have the opportunity to have a Creedence tape around or CD around, listen to that song, and none of that was in there when we learned the song. And I went home and did my homework and came back. And the next time we played it, I put it in there. I said, "Don't put on all those drums." I said, "It makes a difference." And I stuck in there.
Yeah, I'll have to re-listen to that one. Okay, so yeah, so the California Gold is out now. The film, what is it? Does it have a title? The Netflix documentary, the is it just called Royal Albert Hall Show?
It's Creedence live at Royal Albert Hall.
Okay, yeah, it's on Netflix, or people can get, like you said, the other different versions of it, vinyl or DVD or audio or whatever. So there's those two things, and there's more coming. And then I always end each episode with promoting a charity. I think last time you were here, you promoted the Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund. Do you want to promote that one again?
Yeah, I do, because we have a song that was, we made a Christmas album with several people, several acts, and Creedence Clearwater Revisited has the Chuck Berry song on there, and we did it at a sound check with just a 2-track tape, and all the stuff that you're listening to, by the way, including California Gold, they're 2-track masters. I don't know what happened to the multi-tracks; they disappeared. So any and everything that we did, Russell DeShiel is the guy with the technical skills. I told him what I wanted done, and he could do it and do it, you know, with finesse. So all those things were mixed. I had mixed them with the idea that the next thing would be mastering, but they didn't get out of the vault. So they've been mastered now, and we did do some things, but all of the Clifford Wright, that's another one. They're all the 2-track masters, and then revamped as best you can with just 2 tracks. And if I wanted the snare drum up in volume, for example, I had to find the exact frequency that snare drum is, and then boost it up a little bit, and then so that the level of it comes up, and also use compression. But the problem with that is there are other things that are in that frequency that may not necessarily would you want to have it any louder than it is, maybe even the other way around. So yeah, that was a game we played, Russell and I. Let's find what we need to boost and then see how it affects other things on the record. So it's a funny way to do it, but that's your only source is that you try masters, and that's what you have to work with.
Gotcha. Okay, well, thanks so much, Doug. I will put the links in the show notes, and people can get the album out now and check out the movie, and we'll look forward to more music.
I appreciate it, Chuck.
Okay, thanks so much. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you again to Doug. It's always nice to chat with him and hear stories about one of the biggest bands in the world. So check out that new Creedence documentary on Netflix, and also check out Doug's new solo record with Bobby Whitlock. It's titled California Gold. I appreciate all your support with the show. Thank you for listening. Make sure you're following us on social media and are subscribed so that you'll be the first to know of future episodes. We have some very exciting guests lined up that I can't wait for you to hear. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day, and remember to shoot for the moon.